through their relationships with male rulers, such as kings, fathers, or sons. This was due to the patriarchal structure of Mesopotamian society, where political power was typically concentrated in the hands of men. However, some queens managed to exert considerable influence, and a few women even ruled in their own right, though these instances were rare and often linked to exceptional circumstances. Key examples: 1. Queen Huabi of Ur, circa 2600 BCE. Role: Queen of high ranking noblewoman of the Sumerian city of Ur. Context: Queen Huabi's power and status are evident from her lavish tomb in the royal cemetery of Ur, which contained numerous valuable artifacts and attendants sacrificed for her burial. While there is no record of her ruling independently, her burial suggests significant social status and influence, likely as a consort or priestess. 2. Shiptu, Queen of Zimri, Lim, or of Mar, 18th century BCE. Role: wife of King Zimri, Lim of Mar. Context: Shiptu was an influential queen who managed the city-state of Mari during her husband's absence. She corresponded with him on matters of state and was involved in administrative decisions, showing that she held considerable power through her authority was still linked to her husband's rule, though her authority was still linked to her husband's rule. 3. Semiramis, semi-legendary figure. Role: Assyrian queen associated with the legendary figure Semiramis. Context: Semiramis likely inspired by historical figures such as Shamuramat, wife of Shamshi Adad V, was said to have ruled Assyria as regent. While much of her story is mythologized, it reflects the idea that a queen could assume power typically in the context of supporting or succeeding a male ruler. 4. Shamuramat, circa 811 through 808 BCE. Role: Queen of Assyria, wife of King Shamshi Adad V and mother of Adad Nirari III. Context: after the death of her husband, Shamuramat served as a regent for her young son. Her stela and inscriptions indicate that she had a prominent role in the administration and military campaigns, showing that she exercised considerable authority, although this was facilitated through her position as queen and mother. 5. Kubaba, circa 2500 BCE. Role: legendary queen of Kish. Context: Kubaba is a unique case in Mesopotamian history, as she is the only woman listed as a ruler in the Sumerian king list. According to legend, she started as a tavern keeper and rose to power, eventually ruling Kish for a long period. Her story, though partially mythical, suggests that in extraordinary circumstances, a woman could achieve rulership independently of male lineage. Context and limitations. Context and limitations. In most cases, Mesopotamian queens gained power through their relationships with male rulers, either as wives, mothers, or daughters. Their ability to influence politics and society often depended on their proximity to the king and their roles within the royal family. The patriarchal structure meant that the woman rarely ruled in her own right. And their power was usually exercised in support of a male ruler or during periods of political instability, such as regencies or the absence of a strong male heir. Overall, while queens could hold significant influence, their rulership and power were typically linked to the men around them, reflecting the deeply patriarchal nature of. Then it says
Mesopotamian society. So first of all, I want to address the fact that he keep bringing up all these mythical people, these make-believe people, according to the scientists and the archaeologists that are doing these studies, because he's not doing these studies. He's just taking what one other man said over another. But we're going to the people to show that the people who are doing the research and the studies about these people in antiquity actually know what they're talking about and not him, because all of this information that we just went over proves that these women were not in positions of power without the man. So everything that he just read was basically a lie. It was fake, because we can see that a lot of these so-called women rulers were mythology, and it wasn't as they made it seem today. This is a part of the feminist movement that they had going on back then, and it's a part of the feminist movement that they got going on today. So what we got to understand is that the topic for this debate is the patriarch society derived naturally or artificially fabricated? And everything that I presented here today in this debate proves that men have been ruling over women since the beginning of the time. It may sound harsh. We may not like it. We may even disagree with it. But the fact still remains, and this is to the judges, that we must decide what the information that you've been given, who proved which case. And I know for a fact that I did.
Yeah, you went 5 seconds over. Whoa. Okay, yeah, stop it. And oh shit. It won't stop. Where'd it go? My bad, y'all. Where'd it go? Shut, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Stop. Okay, thank you guys. Sorry about that. Woo! So you all wrapped up your closing statements, right? I see a lot of people in the comments is feeling some kind of way, right? Some people are feeling one way, some people are feeling another. They're like, oh, you're proving my point. Oh, he's proving the other point. So how about this? We need to have a popular vote going on down here in the comments. I would really like for you all to go and subscribe to the IG channel. That way I could have did this over there, and y'all could have went over there, logged in, and actually did the poll. But since none of y'all want to subscribe to the channel, y'all missed out on that. I'm not dealing with that. So I would like for you all to go over there and on the YouTube and subscribe to both with DTCS, Debate That Cause Society. I need to see those numbers go up. So with that being said, for the meantime, in between time, I need to see what you all are thinking as far as the people in the audience. What are you guys thinking? Please, let's not send any gifts for about a good minute, minute and a half. Let's give it a little bit of time so that I can see exactly what my people in the comments are thinking and how they are feeling this debate went. A lot of people stayed. I really appreciate it, right? Because y'all are here and y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with us tonight, listening to all this wonderful information that they are presenting. Millionaire Mecca, if it is King Millie, if it is a question about something with DTCS, you can always hit me up in the Discord and I can get back with you directly. But real quick, if I may, I'm going to take everybody off mute because I know I did. Oh, you all are off mute. I want to have a little poll going on here. So I would like to hear from the audience again. Are they going to vote for Ashe and the information that he brought up? Hold on one moment. You said directly for box 4. Not yet, Millie, not yet. So if you are filling box 4 with his information that he brought up, then definitely type in the chat 1. If you are for Kalian Pitbull, which is box 7, please press 2. Again, no gifts at this time. And remember, we got 2, 3. All right. So that's 3 on 3. 3 to 4. Ooh. Remember, you all will be able to answer any questions or ask any questions after their question and answer round. We're going to go off into that. We got a lot of number ones here. Ooh. A lot of number ones. That's looking like 7 ones right now, what we got in the chat for you guys for Ashe. All right. So, brothers, please cam back up because now you all are going to go into your question and answer round. All right. Y'all ready?
Wait.
So since now we have closed out with you all's rounds, now we're going to go into the question and answer round. You have 4 questions apiece to ask one another. And I would like for Ashe to start with his first question to you. You all will have, no. All right. So let me get my pen really quick. Hey, super. Thanks for stopping through. Um, so, Ashe, are you ready to go with your first question?
Yeah, I'm just gonna kick it off like real simple. My
So I
first
just want to make
question
sure that
is,
y'all remember. Y'all remember how this goes, right?
hmm I
Don't
remember,
fuck this up, Mitchell. Don't fuck this up, Mitchell.
So I
Both
got
of y'all.
one question. My first question will be, has there been any scientific proof or historical proof or genealogical evidence of any of these biblical quote unquote patriarchs who you named to actually exist as real people?
Absolutely. I think that the biblical narrative stands strong and it has stood the test of time over any of the information that you brought out. You have not heard one time in none of the information that I brought out where they were calling the people of my information myths.
Ooh, we got a flag on the play there. All right. So he did answer the question and he said what he said. And there was a flag on the play with that. So, let's see. Let's go ahead and Shay.
All right.
I just want to
So
hear what your thought is and why you called a flag.
I
what
said yes.
my thought is there's been no evidence of these people being legitimized as real people outside of scriptural texts and fictional texts. That's why I said, is it cool if I'm not the fact check, right? I can't bring out no evidence.
No.
Okay, that's
Um,
cool.
you don't have that ability right now. So, um, yeah, he can just say yes, it's a queen, and he elaborated on that. So you said yes, and you're saying that there have been no evidence, and you did list. You said what were the four? Because you did list a few things that you were looking for, right, Ashe?
Oh yeah, historical, genealogical, scientific, and yeah, those were the main three. That in a nutshell.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead to the next question, and we will address that in a little bit. So, Kaliam, what is your question to him?
I will pose the same question that he posed to me at him.
You what?
I want to ask him the same question he just asked me
Ask your
regarding.
question. Ask your question.
Oh, got you. I gotta say it. I got you. So, according to the information that you just brought out, are there any proofs in is there any proof that the characters or biblical or figures that you mentioned or named are real? Because the information that I brought out called it mythology.
You have the floor, Ashe. You can answer the question now.
Yes.
You can elaborate if you choose. You said yes.
Oh, yes, yes. Because when I spoke about mythological people, they were under the category of mythological creation stories. They weren't under the category of the actual people. I had a whole joint dedicated to that, to actual people. So I don't when you say the figures, I had a lot of figures in there, so I'm just gonna assume you're talking about the myths. But I said they were myths.
Okay.
Well, looks like that question was answered. So, Ashe, it is now your second question to ask of Khalil. I guess
With
y'all don't know
seeing
how to
my
really just let it go ahead.
with seeing my evidence of the chromosomes, the comparison in the X and Y, why do you still contend on propagating that women came from men? Why are you still saying that?
Because the scientific evidence that I showed from Nettie Stevens proves that the people that you're claiming did the research on your information predates her information according to you. But when we look at what she clearly said that the XY chromosome proves that the DNA of the man, of the man or woman, comes from the father through his sperm. So all that information that you brought out regarding sperm did not change the fact that this is how you detail or understand where these children come from, which parent. It don't change that fact. Nothing you stated changed that fact, Ashe.
All right, and you're throwing another flag on the play. So let's hear it. Why?
When you brought out your scientific evidence, your scientists, like I had said with my rebuttal, you said the male is determining the sex of the male sperm, the male child, male. Again, the males, not just any sperms, not just any sex. That's what if you would go back, if you want to even bring it back up and rehash it, and it says male there. That's what the brother read. Males.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Whoa,
Because I
pause
know.
for the cause. We're going to leave that up to the fact checker because you're not going to keep doing this to me. All right. So, with that being said,
Let's go.
Ashe, you saying that, what's her name? Nifa, what's her name? What was
Nettie Stevens. Nettie Stevens.
Nettie? Nettie
Nettie?
said that it was only the male child, right?
No, that's what
Don't
he.
be giving me that red face look.
It's determining male sex. It determines the male sex.
Okay, so you're saying that Nettie says that her research only says that it's brought up to the male sex. Okay. All right. So moving right along, because we got that down. We got two flags on the plays. Remember, you got your flags, right? All right. So y'all be tripping me out. Come on, Kaleem, ask your question.
Shot himself in the foot, man. My next question would be: you just stated in my last question that these people use mythological terms to identify themselves, but the natural identity of these people you weren't able to get into. So how are we able to validate the people that you spoke on actually being true and real? From the, I'll say this, because you just said that they were mythological in their ideology or the way in which they were presented. That's what you just said in the last question, the answer to the last question that I just asked you. You said that these women or people were on a mythological story. So are these people the same names and characters and figures? How are we to judge your information based off of a mythological story by your own admission?
Saw me? Okay. once again, brother, I explained to you that that category was specifically to be about societal societies and their cultural spirituality surrounding their creation myths and gods. When I began to spoke about actual people like Hatshepsut, the queens of Meroe, I gave their location, I gave their names, I gave their times of reigns, and occasionally I even gave DOBs. So that would give you an understanding on how these people were real. The people I said were real, to answer your question.
Oh, the people wasn't real. The people were not real.
Oh, 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 oh no. Oh no, baby. You don't get to follow up with that question. You're through. What you thought this was?
I tried it.
Yeah, you tried it. You tried it. You tried it. So, whew. All right. So it is now, Ashe, this is your third question to ask of Kaleem.
Is there a difference between rule and help?
Yes.
You can elaborate if you want to.
The difference in ruling and helping is the authoritative role in which one would play. The helper in that situation would assist the ruler. Does that mean that the ruler is oppressive to the help? No. So I see nothing wrong with that. Go ahead.
All right. Good job. Good job. Let's see. It is now your turn to ask of him your third question.
Throughout this debate, I heard you say a few things, so I would have to ask, why weren't you able to show these women ruling from the foundations of their lineages, meaning passing these things on from mother to son or daughter consecutively, even within the information that you brought out, still proves that they took these roles from men. So the question again, I'll restate it so it's clear. Why weren't you able to prove that these women were getting these places of power of themselves?
I did. I touched on the British monarchies and many other monarchies that where we see the woman holds all power and even delegates power, which means she's distributing the power onto her male consorts. Like I keep saying, that's even going on in Britain to this date. I constantly said that. So I've shown that, and I've also even showed the natural derivative when we got into the you talk about pass down, pass to this, pass to this. When we got into the mitochondrial Eve, and we seen that it's past the mother, past the mother, past the mother, past the mother. Even just our whole, just us being, even coming into existence as human beings, came from a matrilineal lineage of women passing it from woman to woman.
Okay.
Cat, 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 cat. All right, listen. I'll say your last question.
If there was no difference in between helping a ruler, I mean helping and ruling, why it in the book of Genesis do we see, under the curse of Eve, that it was a curse for her to be ruled by her husband instead of her just remaining a helpmeet? Why is that? Why would that be a curse for her?
Well, you would have to fact check this yourself and do the research, but if you go into the book of Moses, it's going to talk and describe how in our language this word you're calling accursed, or the scripture saying that she was going to take on sorrow, would actually be the implication of how we all exist today. So had not they failed, I don't think we would be here sitting on this panel having this debate. So you would definitely have to go and do your research to understand that the thing that had happened between Adam and Eve was nature taking its course.
All right. Kaleem, your last question.
I would have to ask, if matriarchal society was natural, why would Queen Shiva have a baby with a man and relinquish all power over to men by having a son with a man?
It wasn't she Queen Shiva, along with a lot more of Solomon's concubines, were influenced by demons.
That's interesting. Okay, that was a very interesting answer. Y'all heard
No
that, right?
flag.
No flag.
Bro, now
No
you
flag.
just say that shit, bro. Please don't. I ain't finna
Yes.
definitely finna throw no flag. I don't have to throw a flag. Everybody heard that, though. I don't have to throw a flag on that.
Oh my goodness, I do. I'm so happy that you guys are so smart. So what I'm going to do is I don't know what happened, but okay, cool beans. I don't hmm. So no, they don't necessarily agree, Psalms. All right. So ooh, the first flag that you threw on the play, right? Whew. The first flag that you threw on the play. And you were asking for some type of scientific, geological, and historical evidence of
Not
biblical people.
not geological, historical, scientifical, or genial, like dealing with genes, not geo, but like genes, dealing like the bloodlines,
Oh,
genealogical science.
genealogical.
Right.
Okay, so my first fact checker went away. They like are not available. They're not saying anything. Yashar, I want you to think about that. There you are, Yashar.
Your shit got to grow, Usher. Your shit ain't growing, boy. Because you letting them women.
Genealogical. All right.
that
So
that
genealogical,
bitch,
historical, and scientific facts that biblical patriarchs existed,
That
right?
the biblical patriarchs that he referenced exist.
Um, what biblical patriarchs did you reference, Colleen?
a bunch on the five
I
patriarchs. I was about to get into Abraham, Isaac, Jacob,
not about
Adam,
what you
Eve.
finna get into. Who did you mention? Do you remember,
Yeah, that's what I'm
Ashay?
saying. Oh, you asked him.
Also, okay, specifically, let's do Abraham. Specifically, Abraham. Abraham was mentioned. Abraham is the chief patriarch.
All right. Give me some time on that fact check. I'm going to go to the second fact check that you had. All right. Yes, we need some time on that so we can pull that research. I'm going to have the second flag checked, and that is on the Nettie Stevens information. Um, where are you? Oh, okay. Wow. Let me let this girl up on the panel. Come on up, child. Come on up. Hmm. My people, my people. Come on, child. Let's go. If anybody does have any, oh, thank you. Let's go. Yashar, what you got
Arche-
for this?
One archaeological evidence was one question, right? Am I correct? All right.
Archaeological evidence was not one. Not one.
Excuse me, you said what?
I don't believe archaeology was used. That would have went right along with geography. I didn't say
So
archaeological.
what evidence did you say? Genealogy? I
Genealogical,
got that.
historical. I never use archaeological. I never use archaeological or geological because edifices and churches and stuff that would be you can use that stuff that people build.
So are y'all there?
Yes, we're here.
Huh.
This is what historical evidence is. Historical evidence consists of primary sources, secondary sources, archaeological evidence, pictures and videos. So when you talk about historical evidence, archaeological evidence is there. You need me to present that, show that?
Yeah, let's go into.
Okay, I'm sure. Oh, you can see it right there. My screen is sharing. You see that right there? What it says?
Oh, so what I used was a broad term. It was a broad term.
Absolutely.
So maybe I should narrow it into just the
If you
genes. Maybe we just
It's
deal with
too
the
late,
gene.
cuz.
Maybe just deal with the
You're
gene.
too late, cuz. You done said your
It's
spiel.
fine.
You done throw that flag, cuz.
he
You can't
mentioned
do nothing
he
about that.
mentioned genealogy though, so we can tap into that and see what's going on with that. All right, kids, give me a second. I'm gonna tap.
Cool beans. Cool beans. I'll wait for my next fact checker to come up. I thought the box was open for her. I don't know what happened. So I hope all of the people in the comments do have some wonderful questions to ask either of these debaters? Because I'm seeing a lot of these questions go off in the comments and off in the chat. So get your beans ready so y'all can come up and ask these questions because they really want to answer questions and hear what you all have to say to them. Thank you so much, Anonymous. So let's hear what you have. Hold on, Anonymous. One moment, because we still gonna wait on Yashar to bring out his information. So drop down with the screen if you don't mind. Because he said that he wanted to just narrow it down to Abraham. And historical, genealogical, and scientific information on these patriarchs. Don't you calm down now, brother. Get back up here. Don't you calm down now. Yeah, there's a reason why they don't dig up a bunch of bones from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob because of what you guys did with the bones, and especially these conquerors. They was doing weird stuff to them mummies over there. You know, mummy jerky. I'm surprised they have anything left from the Kemet because they were eating them like jerky. Surprised that they even have anything left. Hmm. Yeah, they were eating them. Yeah, they're still digging up a lot. I want you all to keep in mind as to the burial practices of people in Kemet. Generally, you don't find the common folk. You find a lot of kings and, so to speak, queens. As to why these people were to be brought back or produced is because of the wonderful technique of mummification, which was allotted to rich folks. It's a very, deep, deep tradition that they believed in their bodies would come back from the afterlife and do they thug dizzle here on the earth. So they needed to preserve their bodies to the best. It was like that was some smart stuff to do. You got something?
Kiss, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to pull up Ashkenazi in the Bible.
So that's in Genesis 10 in the Bible.
I need you to pull that up. Just put the chapter and verse in the chat for the people. So when I share my screen, they can understand what's being shared and what's being talked about. Because the question was genealogy of Abraham. Can we find it? Am I correct, Ashe? Do it exist? Correct?
Genealogical evidence of Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Genealogical evidence.
Yeah, that's talking about the bloodline. Okay, right? Just to make sure we're on the same page. Talking about bloodline, right?
And that's Genesis 10 and 3.
Oh,
Okay.
we're going to go to the Bible?
No. I just wanted to make sure that's there for the information that's about to be shared and answer your question that you asked. Now, if you look at the top, right, this is National Library of Medicine. It's a primary source right here when it comes down to genealogy or genealogical studies. Talks about haplogroups and things of that nature, right? So here it's talking about Abraham's children in the genome era, major Jewish diaspora, right? So when you look into Genesis 10 and what our sister posted, right, you'll see that Abraham created a lot of nations, right? And the Ashkenaz, right, is one of those nations that came by way of his genealogy, right? By way of his blood. And so here I tap in a little bit and this should answer the question. It says, for more than a century, Jews and non-Jews alike have tried to define the relatedness of contemporary Jewish people. Previous genetic studies of blood group and serums markers suggest that Jewish groups had Middle Eastern origins with greater genetic similarities between paired Jewish populations. However, these and successor studies of monolithic, 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 Y chromosomal, and mitochondrial genetic markers did not resolve the issues of within and between group Jewish genetic identity. Here, genome-wide analysis of 7 Jewish groups: the Iranians, the Iraqis, the Syrians, the Italians, the Turkish, the Greeks, and the Ashkenazi, right? Now, when you, like I said, when you go back and you look into who Ashkenazi comes through, he comes by way of Abraham, right? And as you can see, these Iranians and all these other subgroups would also come through Abraham as well, right? We can keep going and getting off into more information, but this right here shows and proves in today's time, we can trace Abraham's lineage or genealogy, right? We know who the Ashkenazi Jews are to this day. We know who the Khazars are to this day, right? We don't have to play those type of games, but in the same breath, this right here is primary source scientific evidence that he existed.
So that's the information that he brought up there. Shar, do you have another source?
Do I need to pull another source?
That would be cool.
Oh, okay.
That would be cool. You all asked for scientific, and the NCIB is National Library of Medicine can't get any more scientific than that. So it
I
actually
mean,
hit 2 on the
damn.
head. It hit 2 on the head. You're looking for these facts, and you're shaking your head no. So that was one fact, right? I just would like to hear your stance on this, Ashe.
What that brother just showed was that Jews existed. It was that Ashkenazi people existed. What that brother did was go on to try to what he did was he inserted this
Who?
Ashkenazi information, which was I'm not, which is another, which is opening up another just a room for something totally different. But that's what I was saying. There was a lot Abraham within the excerpt when they within a body of work outside of just the title was never even mentioned within that body of work. It was just true. It's showing that Jewish people came from, I guess, Ashkenazi, and we know a lot of these names that these people have don't even really relate to, I guess, like Jew, for example. What is a Jew? What is a Jew? What is a Jew? What does the make
Okay.
what makes up a Jew? But it's cool. That's why I was shaking my head. So when you asked,
Okay. So you said that nothing that he showed actually refers to Abraham, right?
Abraham was only mentioned in his title, Ashkenazi Jews and everything else was mentioned, and that wasn't even.
So my next question is, since you're looking for a genealogical reference of these particular people, um, is Abraham related to these people, so to speak? Genealogical information would be genes and the gene pool, either before or after this particular person. So Yeah, if that's the case, then, you know, mhm, I want you to think about that question here. This is going to be a hard one because, yeah, it's going to be a hard fact check. Let's hear it.
Last thing I want to say about that is to do it
I
to
agree,
track
El.
to track Abraham's genealogy. You would have to have Abraham's blood type, and to get Abraham's blood type, you would need Abraham's body.
Mm. Scientifically speaking, huh? So you also went into historical.
So here we go.
We're going to touch on all three. Go ahead, Yashar.
We're going to tap into the Britannica now. Right? We're going to see if this information is accepted. Right? Because it seems like everything that's being presented is not being accepted. So we're going to read through. It says several theses were advanced to explain the narratives that the patriarchs were mythical beings or the personification of tribes or folkloric or ideological explanatory figures created to account for various social, judicial, or cultic patterns. However, right? However, after World War One, archaeological research made enormous strides with the discovery of monuments and documents, many of which date back to the period assigned to the patriarchs in the traditional accounts. The excavation of royal palaces at Myri, an ancient city on the Euphrates, for example, brought to light thousands of cuneiform tablets, official archives and correspondence, and religious and judicial or uh judicial texts, and thereby offered exegesis a new basis, which specialists utilize to show that in the biblical book of Genesis, narratives fit perfectly with what from other sources is known today of the early second millennium BCE, but imperfectly with a latter period. A biblical scholar in the 1940s aptly termed this result the rediscovery of the Old Testament. Thus, there are two main sources for the reconstruction of the figure of Father Abraham, the book of Genesis from the genealogy of Terah, Abraham's father, and his departure from Ur to Haran in chapter 11 to the death of Abraham in chapter 25, and recent archaeological discoveries and interpretations concerning the area and era in which the biblical narrative took place. Now, again, is it accepted? Who knows? But these are the facts from primary sources, loved ones. I can't do what, you know, I don't know what else you want me to go to. Like, if you got a specific primary source to go to, I don't know. But this is where I'm going to fact check information where it's credible.
Yeah. We're going to have to chop this one up because this same exact information that if we were to reverse that question on one of the matriarchal systems that you actually addressed, these would pretty much be the same sources that we have, right? Ashe?
This is absolutely insane.
You wouldn't have anything else.
The matriarchal people who I named, sister, have bodies. Um, I noticed that even during the first fact check, we sat and we fact checked a bloodline of a body that doesn't even exist. What we just go
Well,
skip
I'm
past the
sorry.
fact check.
Again, if we fact check the information on the same people, it would be from the same sources. I'm correct?
Yeah.
It would be from the same source. You're not on mute. You're on mute though.
No, I'm remaining on mute. I don't want to. Yeah, yes, they would be from. It would be the same
Be
sources.
from the same sources. It would be from the same sources.
I
So
would ask this. I would ask this. You know, um, what would you consider to be a credible scientific source?
DNA,
That
DNA
first one
coming
that
from
I presented,
DNA
don't
coming
get no
from
deeper than that.
DNA coming from an ancestor who actually exists. So, for instance, if I was telling you that I'm from the direct bloodline of Queen Hatshepsut, they would then they would get Queen Hatshepsut's body, which they have access to her actual DNA, and then they would do it. They would do a gene test based off that body, not other Egyptian or Kemetic people who are around. They would, if I'm trying to tie myself to this one direct person in specific. But you know what though, Boo? I really don't want this
So
debate to get
let me
centered
explain
around
something to
this.
you
I
about
will yield
genealogy.
that. I will yield my red flag, and we can move forward.
No, no.
I
Let me
will
just
yield my
explain
red
this
flag.
about genealogy, right? When you talk about genealogy, they won't have to find you, Ashe. They won't have to find you personally to find out your genetics. If you have children that you leave behind on the earth, especially sons, Ashe, they can trace your DNA back through your sons. That's how DNA works. So when you talk about Abraham's children, right? The children that he's
well,
has in his genealogy, right? When you look at that genealogy and you look at these children, you will see these people exist today,
all
right?
right,
You'll
Yashar.
see them with
We
the
can
same
wrap it
titles
up.
today. And
You
Real
you
don't
quick,
have
also
just
to
will
real
go
see
quick.
there,
that DNA.
Yashar.
If I died
We
right
don't
now,
have to
brother,
go.
if I was
We don't have to go there. We don't. Right? We just need check things to be checked and facts to be brought forward. So we went to two different sources. We went to a scientific source, and then we went to a historical source, which is the Britannica. Are we understood? And we brought out in the fact remained of what you asked, and you received those. You received those. That's why I always have at least 2 to 3 witnesses to prove a matter because I can't just go off one, right? So let's get down to the next Fizak Chizak. Anonymous. Let's hear it, honey.